the real wife of God. Matthew chapter 12 verse 38. Then some teachers of the law and some Pharisees spoke up. "Teacher," they said, "we want to see you perform a miracle." Jesus responded with, "How evil and godless are the people of this day." Jesus exclaimed, "You ask me for a miracle? No. The only miracle you will be given is the miracle of the prophet Jonah. In the same way that Jonah spent 3 days and nights in the big fish, so will the Son of Man spend 3 days and nights in the depths of the earth. On the judgment day the people of Nineveh will stand up and accuse you, because they turned from their sins when they heard Jonah preach, and I tell you that there is something here greater than Jonah. On the judgment day the Queen of Sheba will stand up and accuse you, because she traveled all the way from her country to listen to King Solomon's wise teaching, and I assure you that there is something here greater than Solomon." Jesus first mentioned Jonah as an attempt to establish his position in God's kingdom, as the sign or miracle they wished to see. Jesus is comparing himself to Jonah, in which they both spent 3 days into the depths of the earth. He's comparing their personal belief of God, that only they both truly know and understand from their personal experiences with him. They're both also being compared to something there with them that is greater than them both. He's saying the people believed Jonah. When he proclaimed his message, they turned away from sinning. Yet something greater than Jonah was responsible for their message. Jesus compared himself to Jonah because those people believed him. Unlike the people standing in front of him at that moment. The people of Jonah's days believed him, and the people of Jesus' days didn't. He's also saying they believed Jonah, but they deny him. Yet he is, and was greater than Jonah. Jesus' purpose was greater than Jonah's, and people didn't believe him. They asked for a sign or miracle. Jesus was the sign. Just as Jonah was the sign. Now the second part, which is my favorite part, because this is what led me to this belief. What's so amazing, I want to say this first. Jesus plainly said, "Something greater than Solomon is here." Not only that, but pay attention to the time period he's mentioning, which is on Judgment Day. Whatever is greater than Solomon, and whatever Queen Sheba was seeking, will rise and condemn this nation. On Judgment Day, meaning the end of age, yet he clearly states whatever is greater was also there at that moment. When he said something is greater here, meaning in that present time, meaning she was there then with him, and now. I'm sure she will be present at the end of this age. Jesus reveals wisdom's existence there, and how great she is. A year ago, I made a video about the Queen of Sheba. I want to say, thank you to her for allowing me to possess the wisdom she once held. I know who she is from her truth, not anyone else's. Her truth led me to the ultimate truth. The second part of this verse about Queen Sheba is literally saying what she came to seek, which was, and is wisdom. Was greater than Solomon. I want to say this. If you look at the order of the Bible, Song of Solomon is before Jesus' birth, Proverbs is also. And Psalms. Those books are in that order for a reason. The titles and situations are all timestamps. If you take them out of order, you mix up times and decades. You mix up centuries. You eventually mix up messages and confuse people also. For one, God isn't living in the past. Those books explain God's evolution. Not only that, what many people fail to realize. The Bible ends with plagues. God says don't tamper with the Bible, but how would anyone know it's even tampered with if we have no truth to compare it to? God will find ways to deliver his message even when they attempt to suppress it. He still finds ways to expose you to the truth. Jesus was one of those ways. If the Bible ends with, to not change anything, how would we know what was changed if we didn't have the absolute and honest truth to compare it to? God will give his people the truth, and in the end you will know who truly changed, took out, and suppressed whatever truth that needed to be told. But back to wisdom, she is spoken of in this verse, because she is the greater that is being acknowledged. What Queen Sheba traveled to obtain was something greater than she could ever imagine. That greatness made her realize who she truly was. Wisdom blessed her with understanding. Also, many people don't understand why the Bible even mentions her. She was a queen and ruler of a dynasty. She had power, wealth, and class. She had everything. Yet she traveled because she wanted to see what kind of wisdom Solomon had. In Queen Sheba's real and true story, she also taught Solomon. It mentions she quizzed him, often withholding things behind her back, in different hands as an attempt to see if King Solomon truly had wisdom. It's so insane that people refuse to acknowledge this black woman, when Jesus does openly when they asked him to perform a miracle or a sign. She will play a role in the end. When she rises, wisdom will, and I also want you to know why Jesus even used her as a reference. Because he knows wisdom's role and position. He knows the role Queen Sheba will play in the end when wisdom is redeemed. The wisdom that Queen Sheba came from the ends of the earth to seek is the same wisdom you seek in the Bible. Jesus is telling you, plain as day, something greater than Solomon is there, and people refuse to acknowledge it because it's mentioned in reference to a black woman. When they asked him about these signs, these are referenced with the end times. When whatever is greater than Solomon rises, the end of age is upon us. Wisdom is God's wife, she's not a god. She doesn't have godlike powers. She's all spirit. She dwells, just as God will, with us soon. Seeking is different than worshiping. Seeking means an attempt to find something. Attempt or desire to obtain or achieve something. Ask for something from someone. Why does wisdom ask you to seek her? It's because seeking her completely removes the idea of her wanting to be worshipped. She doesn't want to be considered as a god. That's why they took her from the Bible in the first place, because people started worshipping her. She's not God. She doesn't want you to worship her, she wants you to seek her. That's the flaw, that's why it was removed. The concept of seeking, not worshipping, makes her a spirit, not a god. Wisdom is known as a spirit, not a god, and she's God's spirit. Meaning she wouldn't be who she is if God wasn't present in her existence as the God that he is. Wisdom praised and worshipped God because she knew her place as his wife. She knew his greatness because she was the first to be exposed to it. Wisdom explains God's existence and abilities from a feminine perspective as his wife. I want people to understand this. Many of you worship a God without a female counterpart. In the end, it will be more of a disadvantage than an advantage. Believing in wisdom means not making her an idol, not worshipping her, or praising her. You're supposed to seek her. The reason why I'm saying this is because doing anything other than seeking her makes her an idol. The main reason why wisdom asks you to seek her is because she knows seeking her and not worshipping her makes her who she really is. Wisdom isn't boastful because she knows she's not God. It's so simple, her whole nature explains who she is, the role she plays, and why she wants you to seek her. When wisdom speaks of herself, she says she's not boastful, prideful, and loud. She doesn't like the wrong attention, and you know why she doesn't? It's because she's not God. She doesn't want God-like worship, praise, and attention. What she's trying to explain to you is she's separate from God, she isn't greater than him. She's establishing her position. As she talks about herself, she's telling you, I'm not God, don't worship me as a god. Seek me because I'm hidden. She's hidden because she knows being boastful would make people believe she's acting as God. So she's not loud, arrogant, cocky, or boastful. That's far from her nature. Anyone you see giving wisdom in that way isn't real. Wisdom is completely opposite from what most people believe. Wisdom is not the bride of Christ. People who say the bride of Christ is the mother of us all do so in error. That's what I also want to highlight in my next video. Jesus never proclaimed to be the father of mankind. Jesus isn't taking God's place and becoming our father. When he speaks about the kingdom of heaven, he talks about us being like little children. That means we would have to be parentless. That means God will be our father. It's deeper than having childlike faith. It's solely about knowing we will be brothers and sisters because we will share the same mother and father. That makes us family. The Godhead is family.